Thank you for staying with Ebru Primetime News. And tonight, as I told you earlier, we're going to have an interview with Madam Nabilah Sempala, who is a Ugandan Member of Parliament and, of course, representing Kampala Women Parliamentary Constituency. Good evening, Madam.
Good evening, Kazungu.
And thank you so much for gracing us with your time tonight.
I want to thank Ebru TV and the media fraternity, but especially the team that has invited me here.
Let's get it right away off the bat. And of course, we're going to start with the thorny issue on the Migingo Island. Now, let me ask you this first and foremost. What makes you think that Migingo is Ugandan?
I think we are creating a mountain out of a molehill. Because Migingo, what is it really? A small rock that has been played in the media, that is being used as a tool to divide close neighbors, people with a history, people with geographical, cultural, everything that binds us is stronger than the Migingo issue. And for me, I think it's been, you know, like blown out of proportion.
But if you say we're trying to create a mountain out of a molehill, if you're saying we're trying to blow it out of proportion, over the recent times we've seen arrests of Kenyan fishermen and of course the persecution in Uganda. Why would you call it a mountain out of a molehill where we're seeing these cases?
What I think is, how many Ugandans live in Kenya? So many. How many Kenyans are in Uganda? So if we get the population of Kenyans in Uganda and put them on Migingo, they'll not even fit there. If we got the population in of Ugandans living here, they will not fit Migingo. So that's why I say we want to be diverted by something that divides us. Yet it's very little, I think. And I think it should be sorted out by the heads of state.
So do you think maybe this is a political issue?
I think it's something that's used periodically to create tension amongst the ordinary citizens. I think clashes that are happening, whether inside Uganda or in Kenya, don't necessarily have a link to disputed land. Even within Kenya itself, on undisputed land, there are conflicts. So why do we pick a conflict solely because we think it's a disputed rock? So that's, I think that's very diversionary.
So from where you sit as Madam Nabilah, what do you think is the solution to this crisis once and for all?
The heads of state. I think we have an able leader in Uhuru Kenyatta, and we have his counterpart, and they all come together in the EAC. So we have a regional assembly. So I don't think we should individually, we have all MPs, our members of parliament, whom we send to Iala in Arusha. This is their issue. It's not really our issue even as individual parliaments and you know, common citizens, wananchi. It's for Iala to sort out.
Okay. At this point, let us move directly to issues about Ugandan politics currently. And we understand that Bobby Wine, we can correct him if I get the name correct, Robert Chagulanyi, right, has been arrested. First of all, your thoughts on that?
I think Kenyans should know that all is not well in the neighboring country politically. When we look at the Kenyan politics, we think we are 100 years behind because our constitution has been toyed with. The hope of political change is dimming every day. The militarism in Uganda is very evident, and it's not a by the way. It is the reality that we still have a military dictatorship in Uganda. We have people who used the gun to take office, and they're still in charge 32 years down the road. So that's not something that we can say is auguring well with the burgeoning youth population, with the population that is 80% youth. So we are going to see more and more steam releasing incidents. And it's very unfortunate that Arua has become a center that is a stage that is playing out the national psyche of politics in the country. With Bobi Wine, that's his music name, but Honorable Kyagulanyi is rallying the youthful population of Uganda as the beacon of hope for the change that the youth so desire.
So if we talk about President Museveni, and you, as you rightly put it, he's been in power for over 30 years now. So do you think with the successive elections, do you think there will be any fairness in Uganda with having the trend that we've been seeing in African countries of opposition battling it out with incumbents who have trappings of power? Do you think any opposition leader in the upcoming elections in Uganda will be able to make it?
First of all, we need to remove the gray areas of leadership. What we've seen, we've had a scenario of a permanent opposition contender in Kenya. Actually, you ask anyone in the East African region, who is the next opposition contender in Kenya, they would know who it is. It's Raila Odinga. Fortunately, we didn't have that all the time, but since 2001, we have another Raila figure, example or duplicate emerging in Uganda. And we are beginning to become very uncomfortable about that. Because when we are saying the political stage is for everyone, it should not be a preserve of two individuals, Museveni and Besigye. So it's become that. So what we're trying to say, we say, if Museveni can't go, maybe Besigye has failed to remove him, and a young man with a following that he has built with another career and now has lent it to the political family of opposition. I think we have the opportunity to change the stage. Now, instead of President Museveni facing off his former colleague, his former minister, his former doctor, his former everything, we want to see Museveni, the man, facing his grandson, and we see where it takes us.
Does that mean that you, as the FDC, I understand you're from the FDC party, are you by any chance trying to state that in the next election you'll be fronting Bobi Wine as a presidential candidate?
Dictatorship and dictatorial tendencies don't develop overnight. By the way, if Museveni's thirst for power had been nipped in the bud, in the first 10 years, we would not be grappling with this problem. But people overlooked it and minimized it. So, oh yes, he might go. The constitution will take him. His counterparts at that time needed to see the signs of entrenchment. So we are not going to tolerate the same entrenchment growing in the opposition. So in 2021, we are ready to create a generational shift, at least for the face of politics.
Okay, before we get to 2021, when you'll be having your elections, let us look at how you're going to do it, considering that we've seen the ruling coalition, of course, coming and having its way in Parliament in the clause about the repealing of the age limit. If you could not do it at Parliament as the FDC, how will you do it this time round to ensure that you beat Museveni in 2021?
What's happened in the last 10 years that there's been scattering of forces in the opposition. We want to divide Uganda into manageable regional, enclaves where each member of parliament can galvanize their area for the good of the whole of opposition, but not for the good of an individual. And that's what we've seen. When some of you might not remember, in 2001, when Dr. Besigye emerged from the NRM, from the ruling party, from the ruling government, there was a very powerful individual in the name of the mayor of Kampala. Actually, the song in Uganda was, Haja Lagide Tuwe Besigye Akalulu. What it means is, Haji Sebagala, the mayor, has instructed us to support Besigye. So the opposition in 2001 was galvanized by a powerful individual, Haji Sebagala, at that time, to support Besigye. Now, the same opposition that Besigye got from another powerful individual, we are saying let him pass over the baton like it was passed over to him. And Besigye now should not insist and cling to the baton because Bobi Wine has emerged.
Okay, because of time, I want to ask you this last question. So why are you in Kenya today?
I'm in Kenya because you know very well that Kenyans and Ugandans, we are really like twins. And it's very important, and that's why I'm glad that I'm on television, so that most people know that what we do affects the other. I'm here because I run an NGO, Arms Around Africa, and we have partners here in Nairobi. It's an NGO that handles children, and we have a talent program in slum areas. And that's something I've done for the last 13 years. And one of the success stories out of our NGO is the ghetto kids. Because we started with them, but we saw the talent in them, and our center in Makindye offered them a platform to exhibit. And the rest is history. So we want more, and we want to partner with like-minded people. I was invited by Refiga, but tomorrow I also have a due at the Canadian High Commission. But I think what's dear to my heart is the possible partnership between our disadvantaged children in our slum areas like Kibera. Refiga is somebody who invited me, and he realized that we need to do this. We have slums like Katwe. Most people know like the Queen of Katwe. So that slum is where the organization has its headquarters. So we want to see the good and talent that could come out of the Nairobi slums like Kibera. So I want to thank Refiga, Grandpa Records, for doing the honor of saying, I think we can do something here.
Madam Nabilah, thank you very much. You could have continued with this conversation. It's very interesting, but in the interest of time, I'm sorry I have to wind up this interview. But thank you for your time. Karibu Kenya anytime, and keep up the good work.
Asante.
Thank you very much.
That's the best Swahili.